Hello, boys and girls. David Vose here. Well, it's a beautiful day here. It's a few little fluffy clouds in the air. It's nice and warm. It was even warm last night. I mean, it still hasn't been freezing the last few nights. It's wonderful weather. I'm having a wonderful day. Hope you're having a wonderful day. You know, I just got back from going to town. It's just about 9 miles down the road. I had to get a couple things. Darn lighter wouldn't work. I had thought I had like a whole bunch of them, but I think the dogs drug them off and ate them. So I had to go in and get a lighter. And while I was in there, I actually got some popcorn that in a bag, that you can make. Recently, I've actually kind of fell in love with popcorn all over again. If you make it right, it's pretty good. But what's interesting about popcorn, oh, and this is not what the show is about today, friends, but I just got sidetracked thinking about popcorn. But you know that popcorn is not genetically modified. And you can buy organic popcorn, which means there's absolutely no pesticides. It is a healthy snack. And to pop it correctly, you just simply get a pot and I think you don't want to use butter because butter to get it to pop the best, you got to put a lot of oil or butter in there. And if you put a lot of butter, not only is that really expensive, which, that really doesn't matter when you're really after a nice snack, but butter kind of seems to evaporate and you're left with, it kind of boils and burns, and you don't want that. Vegetable oil works well, but that's deadly. It's a poison. You don't want to eat that. Vegetable oil, that's not a natural thing. And, it's some kind of weird kind of cholesterol that will clog your arteries and kill you very quickly. But I found that coconut oil, although it's just about as expensive as butter, but if you put quite a bit of coconut oil, maybe about enough to cover half of the kernel of corn, and then put salt on that, put the lid down, and hold it there. After it pops for about a minute, give it a shake and let it pop until it stops popping, and turn the heat off. And you can get that to pop about as well as any pop maker with any kind of special oil or whatever. The coconut oil pops it. It's really good for you. And then you can put melted butter on it after if you want. But that is wonderful because it pops. If you do it right, it'll pop every kernel. You won't even find any unpopped kernels. Wow. So, as we were saying, I was coming back from the store, and I had this kind of like thought, and I'm looking out through the fields, and it hit me. I guess I was thinking about how the Ukraine war was so important, and it was such a big thing, and we had to have this war. And at first, remember, we all thought maybe Ukraine was going to win. The way they were talking, we're sending billions and billions and billions of dollars of weapons over there. Well, you probably could imagine that the people doing all the sending all this money, that they're not doing it to help anybody or for any reason they say they're doing it. I don't think now that they really gave a diddly darn about the Ukraine, either side. I think it's just this theater that they used, that's agreed upon by Russia and America. It helps both sides develop their resources and build up their arsenals and scare the people and keep people afeared. But they both have a common goal. They don't plan on either one winning, but aside from the fact that they wanted bankrupt the United States because they're going to have a one world government, and it's going to happen, and they have it all planned out. And so there's a certain timetable. They'll pull the rug out from under the United States at some point, right when it would be the worst time they could do so. We're going to have a financial crisis, a collapse, and there isn't going to be any government to fall on. They're not going to give us anything. They've been giving us all these things for years. It's been more and more and more every year because they're just appeasing us to be quiet. Just accept this destiny of destruction. Oh, nobody can do anything about it. Oh, well, let's get our money while it's here. And this was our consent. They bought us off. And so we're responsible for what's about to happen. We're responsible for the millions of people that we murdered in Vietnam and Korea and Iraq and Iran. Yeah, I know we didn't, a lot of us, if you're not responsible if you said publicly, I don't believe in this, or even if you felt it in your heart, but you had nothing to do with it. Perhaps you wouldn't be responsible, but there are lots of people. They're like, yeah, kill them all, and those people are responsible. And the thing of it is this country, it seems like countries get this whole blame for whatever little thing they do. Now, like I said, we didn't do it. I mean, some elite group came in here and brainwashed us to agree to it. However, somehow we have this measure of guilt because we did agree to it. And the karma applies to everything. Anything you do, it will come back upon you. You give, you shall receive. And there is an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth in this carnal lower world. And the karma doesn't just happen for one person, it happens for a nation. And it happens for a world. So, it isn't just one person that's doing something wrong that's going to get some karma. We're talking about this country, under the name of the United States, under the banner of this country, we have massacred and murdered more people than Mao and Stalin and the man with a little Hindu cross. Than all of those. Places like Waco, Ruby Ridge, and all the HOAXs that they've been performing. I'm about to share another one of these HOAXs with you. So they make it sound like there's a big war, and we're against the Russians, and the Russians against us. Oh, yeah. They want a number of people in this country to think that Russia's the bad guy, and a number of people to think it's a good guy. Hey, you got to have on every side of everything. They want some to be racist and some to be so liberal that they don't even know if they're human. They want some that are conservatives and some that are liberals. And they want to create an organization to control each of these ideas. So they can control all the thought. But never in the mix, in the middle, where the truth lies, will they ever speak a word, nor is it even allowed to speak from our lips. The KGB is an organization a lot like the CIA. Well, they're kind of like clandestine governments that run the whole thing. And everybody knows the KGB runs Russia. Putin is a KGB agent. And this whole perestroika was all planned. The world's going to become a one-world government. They run it all. The same people that took over Russia in the Bolshevik Revolution went to Germany and took that over in 1914 with the First World War, and then started the revolution here in America. And we went to war. And through that, it bankrupted us, them, and everyone else, and they own us. They own everything. And they have so much money because they own us, because they made a lot of money off of us, that they can actually not just advertise themselves, but they can actually create the agency of advertising. They will own the advertising, and everyone's advertisement will be geared to somehow subliminally advertising them. They own the news organizations and the entertainment industries. They can make our culture whatever they say. Within 5 years, they can change our culture to a large extent, although they've tried a long, long time to make men say that they're no longer men. Do you know why? A lot of you probably know that I was Jehovah's Witness growing up and was disfellowshipped when I was 18. They threw me out. I'm an apostate, even though I didn't know why I was being disfellowshipped, and they never told me. But I did know why, and they knew it too, and one of the elders admitted it. It was because my father had grown a beard back when I was 13, so 5 years before that. And then my family was all completely destroyed mentally and spiritually, and then physically. But I remember, of course, this whole thing started with my dad growing a beard, and I always wondered, why would this organization, because I always knew there was nothing spiritually or scripturally or literally or any other way, nothing wrong with growing a beard. A man has a beard, Jesus had a beard, the apostles probably had beard. I mean, what in the world, how could an organization somehow conclude that to be a Christian in their organization, you can't wear a beard? It baffled me and it stumbled me. Thank goodness it didn't stumble me in the way of a search for the Lord on the path to righteousness and heavenly glory. But it stumbled me according to their doctrines. I didn't believe in them anymore because I knew they were liars. But I used to wonder, and I still to this day, up until recently, and then it finally hit me. But I used to wonder, why would they be so against the beard? Remember what we said, what Jehovah's Witnesses really are. They're a front to the CEOs and management of businesses. They're billionaires it's a billionaire club. And they need workers. They need honest workers that would never steal from them, that never lie, that are hardworking, that believe that it means their life to be like a good little slave. And they bring them up through the priesthood ranks. And remember how, we've talked about how they all got to wear these suit and tie and the white shirt under, and they're like, well, why? Well, nobody knows, but that's what you got to do, right? You ain't going to get up on the platform without your suit coat and the tie. Well, I didn't know, back in those days when I was only 18, I didn't know that what I was looking at, this white shirt is being cloaked by a black coat. It's the same thing that the judges do or the clergy. The black is the cloaking of truth. It's a lie. It's a deception. Everything you're going to see is a lie, and it's all cooperating toward that lie. They're in cahoots. That's the powerful. They've had power ever since Cain killed his brother Abel. And they have absolute power. And they've run the world with different various systems to make it look like the peasants had something, right? Well, we give the peasants 2 cents every 5 weeks, they should be able to make it on that. What with the economy and all the inflation? Well, okay, these people not only serving and slaving for that little bit of money, they're worth more than that. But you're taking their soul, you're propagating your evil in their minds, and we could go on, but we got to get on to some really important things. So, at some point, I don't know how many years ago, I realized that this is a suit, that they're all in some sort of universal government already. Everyone in power, everyone is a manager of any company, every preacher, every somebody on the television that's going to introduce the awards, that night. Everybody wears a suit, and they have white shirt underneath. I mean, theoretically, that's the way, there's a little bit of color coming in there now, but it's traditionally been a black or a dark blue suit. And it's funny how nobody realizes that this is a religion or a one world government. But that's all right. It's just the language. You can call it something else. We could call it America if you want. It's the same thing. Words change, and sometimes they use words to deceive. But the capital is a temple with the baptismal font and the phallic symbol. And the capital is a female fertility symbol. And every county in this country's got one of these little capitoliums from Rome. When you go to court, they summon you. They have one of these robes just like the clergy. And you must confess. It's an inquiry. That's why we call them hearings or inquiries. You have a hearing, and then you have a court case, and they judge you. The priest used to do that. It's call it another word if you want. Judge. They used to call them that too. They were judges, and then they were kings and priests. The ancient ones were called judges. The highest office in the land is the Supreme Court, and those are judges. But we don't know that all this form of government's been going on since Cain killed his brother Abel, and it's no different. You can call it religion or separation from church and state. But these churches are no longer really religious. They're just some sort of club where people who say, well, we believe in getting dunked 3 times, and over there they only dunk them once, so, we don't have anything to do with them. This is just confusion. They can manipulate, they can indoctrinate that way. They don't have to be part of the supposed government. That's their job, to indoctrinate and to intimidate and to perpetuate the lies in our mind and our psyche. But the real priesthood are these individuals who put you in prison. They just make up their mind behind closed doors. This isn't any kind of constitutional law we're under here. When you go to court, you go to a magistrate court. That's Her Majesty. She's in charge here. I guess it's King now, King Charles. And he runs it all. But we're all in this big delusion. And King Charles just happens to be the highest of the royal bloodline that's supposed to be running. And this royal bloodline's been running the world. Don't think it's ever going to get outside of that royal bloodline. However, in times past, it could be that the one who's on the throne is the one they intend to make king. They could have him die and somebody else take. But so that doesn't necessarily mean King Charles is the Antichrist. It could even be somebody that's not in office. But I'll tell you something. I was coming back and I was thinking about this Ukraine and how I knew that it was a mutual thing between the two of them and that there's a subterfuge for something else. Well, now all of a sudden we've seen this thing rise up with Hamas. And I've said there's a lot of interesting things about Hamas. Nostradamus says when Mamas dies, or Mabus, then that's it. The world comes to an end, practically, or the Great Tribulation starts or something. And he always has one letter off. So Mabus could be Abbas. And this person is supposed, the Muslim, like Antichrist or whatever, that's supposed to come just before, he's going to reign 7 years, just before Jesus Christ returns. His name is supposed to be Muhammad. And indeed, this person's name is Muhammad Abbas. But regardless whether it's him, there will be different kinds of antichrists. There will be men that are supposed to be the enemy, and then there's going to be the Messiah, and then there's going to be a wicked king too. In Isaiah, it talks about the wicked king who from Assyria and different things that they know, they don't tell us. But they got this all worked out and planned. Everything that happened has been scripted from the beginning of time. What do you think fate is? If there really was a future that no one knew, then no one would know it and you couldn't prophesy it. The only way to prophesy the future is to understand that the future itself is not some random thing, but we're making it. That's why astrology works. To learn astrology means you've got the plan. You know the end from the beginning. You are the Alpha and you are the Omega. So they pretend, all these royal bloodlines, and these powerful beings and persons, pretending they're presidents or something like that. Well, we just got voted in. Well, it's all a scam. They're selected. There's only two parties because it's this dialectic, this Hegelian dialectic where they've got to have two of everything. And so, why did they do the Ukraine thing? We didn't think we were going to win. We never planned on winning. I used to wonder about that with the boxing, because you got the heavyweight champion of the world is from England. He's the Gypsy King. And then you've got the other one from Ukraine. And remember, the Ukraine had the heavyweight title for, I don't know, like 10 years with the Klitschko's. They're always, these German Ukrainians are always up at the top of the list. But sometimes it's somebody from America. For years, it was just somebody from America. They were promoting young black men. A lot of them were all Muslim, if you'll remember. They're all converted when they became boxers. This was a CIA plot. They did this on purpose. There's reasons for all of this, but we're going to bypass some of the questions and go to some of the more deeper, important things that I'm trying to get to. But they got to have both sides. So they got the communists and they got the capitalists. Now, I said that this perestroika was on purpose. They planned it. We knew it. They knew it. It wasn't like, oh, somebody lost or somebody wins. It's just getting the world closer to the one thing. Putin's a billionaire. He has more money than Elon. It's no different. We're all the same. We're socialists. They're socialists. What's a communist? I don't know. What's a socialist? I don't know. Because if we're supposed to be democracy, then I don't know what a socialist is. I mean, it's just words now. And so I remember hearing somebody was saying, well, we've tried to track these billions of dollars worth of weapons that we've been sending over there. But we don't know where they went. Oh, is that just kind of like when all of a sudden there was this big army called ISIS that we funded by dropping billions of dollars worth of weapons in the desert in Libya? Oh, we had to wipe out an entire country of Libya in order to facilitate the building of an army called ISIS. And we did it before. And by the way, Russia and the United States both colluded in that to create Al-Qaeda. And of course, not only was there a lot of cocaine and heroin and that kind of thing that was, I mean, billions of dollars worth of heroin market there in Iraq and Afghanistan, I think it was, is where they had this huge heroin poppy market. And of course, they have a lot of oil. It was financial things. They convinced us here in the West that those people were all terrorists, they're all evil. They characterized them that way. And then every day we would have a false flag on the thingy on the pole. Oops, I said it. About supposedly somebody went and, a whole thing, boom, right? Well, they're doing it here. Now, what that did in Iraq was led up to the Iraq War. We made them the scapegoat and then we could murder them. Nobody cared. Well, right now, and for the last, I'd say 10 or 15, 20 years, that's about what happened over in Iraq. We had this long, drawn out thing on the news where somebody else goes into a school or a theater or a public place and, everything goes bang. It was like 2 or 3 a year for a while. I think it's still going on. I mean, I just don't listen to the news anymore. What are they trying to propagate? What do they want the world to believe? Well, there's some really crazy people here in America that think guns are good. We got to get rid of all of them. Now, why do you suppose they want to get rid of our guns? Well, there's a reason. They don't want us to be armed. They want us to go down easy. They don't want it to be messy. I can't say a whole lot more. Friends, I'm telling you this is a fact. They didn't do these things just because maybe, what if? They got a plan. They're coming. I can't say anymore. So why did they take billions of dollars worth of weapons and drop them off in the desert in Libya? So they could build an army called ISIS. Now, why did they build an army called ISIS? Well, let me ask you another question. Why is it for the last 20 years they've been having an open border here in America, and we're hearing about it every day? That's the weird part. It's one thing that they're doing it. But remember, they control both sides. So the other side's like, Mr. Reporter, I must confess, they're doing it. The other side, they're trying to kill you, and you're all going to be dead. See, they got to let you know. But as long as it's a rumor, only one side thinks this. The other side, like, these guys are crazy. What? We just got an open border because we're trying to feed these people. What are you talking about? We're such a loving, kind nation. Well, no. The news came out in the last few weeks, and they're saying now that there's these sleeper cells, I guess they call them, in all these big cities. Well, who are they? Guess what? Hamas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. What about this other gang down there in Mexico? El Chapo. Oh, guess what? CIA runs that too. Do you think we would let this ridiculous country called Mexico that has no money, right? A peso's worth of $50 million, right? But you think we would let these drugs come across the border if we didn't want them to? They're making billions of dollars. El Chapo worked for the CIA. And of course, there's pedophilia and child trafficking as well. And anybody they want to get rid of, or anything else they want to do. By the way, when the Chinese blues went by, they're taking pictures. They want to know who those people out in the woods are. They got it all figured out. After that, then they went right over Hawaii, and then the whole city went gone, burned up. And by the way, they were all paid off. There were no children. It was all just something they did publicly on television. They want you to know they're doing it. And there's nothing you can do. See, they can't, if they actually went and wiped out a town somewhere of people who didn't get paid off in some way, then they would be an endless cry. People wouldn't just go into the shadows and die. People would say, look, I lost everything, and the government did it, and somebody would get sued. But you can't sue them. Because what they did is they bought them out, they paid them, they sold their homes for 3 times what it's worth, and they all said, look, this is going to be a terrible place for you to live anyway. You got to get out of here, we'll pay you off. But let's tell everybody that this evil thing happened, where all these people died in the fire, and maybe all these millions of children are missing or something. Hey, I'm not certain if what I'm saying is actually true, but I'm just saying, what if? Just so that we'll have on the news this thing that's impossible. It's not legal. Surely somebody would be upset. Oh, and by the way, we'll go ahead and kick one of these patron celebrities under the bus. See, how dare you be a minority and be a celebrity? You're not really a celebrity. We just made you a patron celebrity, Mr. Bill Cosby. Now you're going to prison for doing everything that we do. Like, we told you how to do it, and you didn't probably even actually do it. Did it. But they can say you did. You almost bought NBC. You had so much money. You had how many hit shows on television? Well, they had to get rid of him. He ain't part of the family. So now you've got Oprah Winfrey, both what, a billionaire? They're going to kick her under the bus now. They don't care about her. Eventually, Obama will be thrown under the bus too. Yeah, it's Oprah Winfrey's the one that did all of that. I don't know how much of it was real, how much of it wasn't. It may have been all real. But I doubt whether the people that it happened to weren't most of them all paid off. That they already sold their land to the real estate office or something. I mean, some of you think I'm crazy. But, years ago when this whole Sandy HOO Captain Cookie happened, I did videos about that. It wasn't just Alex Jones. I was taken down off of the Tubi Wooby for that because I showed factual information. That the day before the so-called event, they had the whole thing marked off with that yellow warning, danger, whatever ribbon. They had little outhouses, portable outhouses, all in certain locations. They had booths with pallets full of water. They had a wooden booth you had to drive through to get into the parking lot and go through checkpoints. And this was 2 days before it actually happened. They were setting up. And then when it happened, and this happened over and over and over again. So what are they setting us up for? Just the same thing that they set up Iraq for. They set them up. And they're saying, oh, we're a bunch of crazy people. We don't want any law, right? We think we're girls when we're boys. Who told you to do that? You guys are crazy. We're going to go back to law and order. You're not going to get away with it. You ain't part of the elite. This is a setup. And this whole thing with Ukraine, they got you to throw your own country under the bus and give billions of dollars, all you Democrats. You're giving all your children's money and your lunch money and everything else. Oh, yeah, but we're getting Medicaid and food stamps and apartment vouchers and gas vouchers. No. They're paying you off. The whole country's going to be gone. You sold out your own country. You sold out your own families because of your greed. So why are we sending billions of dollars to the Ukraine that they can't account for? Because there's no war over there. That's just ridiculous. It's just a big HOAX. It's just an excuse they need to arm the entire Middle East. They pissed them off. They made an army called ISIS. Some of them are over here. Some of them are over there. They've been open borders into England for a long time now. Up into Europe. They're just flooding in. They're preparing for absolute civil war in every country. And these people that they brought in will kill us because they hate us because we killed them. We murdered their mothers in front of their eyes and their babies. Oh, but we were just patriots, Dave. Well, now you're going to find out what these patriots are going to get, what karma is going to pay. And yes, they're responsible because they set you up. But you should have known better. War is not something we should stand in the streets and celebrate. We're not a hero. It's our turn. You can't have a one world government with the capital in Israel or wherever they plan on having it without getting rid of the Constitution of the United States. I guarantee it. Between now and next year, around November 1st, somewhere in there, I don't know what the dates of that Festival of Booze is, but I think that's an appropriate time. It's probably about when the Great Tribulation will arrive. From that point forward, we're going to be in a world war. you have to ask yourself, why have they been flooding these weapons in to Ukraine? Well, they're not going to Ukraine. They're going from there somewhere down through into Poland. And from there, we don't know. But what we could speculate is, why have they been bringing all these people into Europe from all these terrorist countries or third world countries? But, before they brought them over, we killed half their children and their mommies and pissed them off, and they hate us. Now let's bring them over. Some of them could just be literally militants. We don't know. There's no record or accountability. But what we do know is that we're being told that, yeah, there's sleeper cells and there's little armies, and they're bringing Hamas and ISIS and different angry people that do not like us, that want Sharia law to be established or some other crazy thing, or just want us to pay for what we did. And not only will they have this in their heart, but then they'll be paid to do it. They were given this land. A lot of these people that they're bringing over, they're living in these apartments, rent free. They get hundreds of dollars of food stamps, and they get new cars and all of this stuff. They're just giving them all this money and winding us all up, making us hate each other. And once the economy goes, remember, there's a lot of CIA agents. There are human beings right now in this government that are high up in the military, been that way all their life. They're like zombies. They're on drugs. They're manipulated in their mind. You've seen the movies, like the movie Soldier with Kurt Russell. It's not a joke. The military has these, I forget what they call them, this super soldier that have metal body parts and technologies and bio-robotic abilities, and they're mind controlled, and they're crazy, and they're vicious and evil. Some of them may not have a soul. Maybe they're possessed of demons. And we've known about all of this. Nobody cares. All those weapons are not there to fight a war. Nobody cares. Russia doesn't care about that war. We don't care about that war. Russia's getting what they want out of it. We're getting what we want out of it. And we're both coordinating. The elites at the top of each of these organizations are coordinating both sides to mutual destruction. And they plan on being alive, and we're all going to be gone. They do plan on I do believe that's why they gave everybody the HOT. I do believe it is a time capsule effect. And they know exactly, maybe they have a switch. And perhaps they feel that they're heroes, that they're good and decent because they might be trying to put us out of our misery before we have to suffer through the wars. Or maybe because they don't want to fight us. Maybe we might win or something, so they got to have a lot of us kind of be sick and can't fight. Mentally teach our children to be a bunch of little girls. Teach these children that they want to be inside of a little cubicle plugged in with little wires into their cranium, hooked up to a machine. Like the movie Avatar. And they bring in the technology to destroy the tree of life and all the connection that we have to this earth. Yeah. There isn't anything going on that you would think is real. I just watched a Tucker Carlson for on YouTube. It popped up and I thought, well, I'll watch him. I had only seen maybe 2 or 3 of them. He's pretty good at what he does. As you guys know, his father was a very high up CIA agent who was over the propaganda mechanism in this country. Yeah, like PBS and what they would teach the children and indoctrinate us with, and certain MK Ultra mind altering things that you'd never even have thought was being done to you. You thought you liked being in that religion or believing this or thinking that. They put those thoughts in your head. And some other people have different thoughts put into their head because they want this illusion. It's all orchestrated. You don't have your own thoughts. You're not doing anything you want to do. And so you remember how Jehovah's Witnesses got to have the black suit coat and the white, and they don't even know why? It's uniform. And it's representing that they control you and own you because you're wearing their uniform. You're a member of the crew. And I used to ask myself, then why would they be against beards? I mean, what's that all about? Here are these Jehovah's Witnesses think they're godly or something, you know. They say they don't believe in, men lying with men or whatever like this, or this effeminate thing that's going on that's sweeping the world. But they are. Why do you suppose that whenever you got order or law, they want you to shave your head and your face for cleanliness? You know why? Because you are a soldier, young man. And you're going to be all housed together with a bunch of other soldiers, and you can't smell, and we want you to look neat. We want orderliness. We want uniformity. You think, oh, well, I don't want to have a big beard. I'd look terrible, you don't know why you think that, but you think, no, I look better without a beard. I want to shave my little face. Well, some people think, even though they're boys, they maybe would look better if they were girls. Where'd you get this idea? See, it's sweeping, it's going deeper, and they control, and these people think they're coming up with this stuff on their own. Some of it, I heard Alex Jones say that they did a study for years on how to make the frogs gay. Maybe they put something in our water. Oh yeah, they have. Fluoride, which is killing you. It's doing something to your pineal gland so that you can't dream, or it's the deity gene that they're snuffing out in you. They're keeping you stupid. You think you're going to school, but all you're learning is how to run their machines. You think you're Jehovah's Witness, but you're becoming a minister, but you don't know why you're putting on this Saturn black cloak with a little square Saturn cap and going through the little colors of tassels. Oh, through the graduation, and you get to graduate. You get your robe, but it's a black robe. Ain't nobody got a white robe except for the scientists and the dulciers. They're the kings. They're the priests. They speak to you the words of deity, science, and you must believe it. And you all do it willingly. You bow down, every one of you. Or else there'll be an inquiry. And the Inquisition will be off with your head. And you'll go to Her Majesty's court and say, yes, Your Honor. Oh, grovel. Oh, yes, Your Honor. I'll never imbibe that substance again. Why, it was just so wrong of me to try and live and have my own little mind that I thought maybe it wouldn't be harmful. But of course you've said no, so now I'm going to go home and never do it again after I get out of this prison. Why is it when we have some problem in society, somebody's had a fight with somebody, right? And they don't want to press charges that the government does. You ever wonder about that? Did you know that they get a certain amount of money for every person they can get in that little jail? So they'll pack it in there like sardines. You get a cell with 4 beds and they'll put 8 people in there. I don't know what that. Maybe that makes them all gay too. Maybe it's just like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But these people know what they're doing. But you know, I don't think you have any idea what they're really doing over there. You see, those weapons had to have gone to countries that are not for Israel. Like they sent them somewhere to this Al Qaeda or all these armies or Syria or something. Now, if they didn't want these countries like Iraq and Syria to win the war with, or Iran, maybe they're taking them to Iran, I would suspect. Syria and Iran. Why did Obama give billions of dollars in depleted uranium or whatever to Iran? Well, he played the bad guy. Naughty. But Biden comes in, of course, he was the vice president to Obama. He comes in, he's like, okay, we got to give billions of dollars to Iran. Why? They want Iran to have nuclear weapons. This is going to be the excuse or the reason to level them. Friends, you need to get out of there. It actually tells you in the Bible that Damascus shall be a pile of heaps, never be lived in again. They know exactly what they're doing. Just like they've got to destroy the Constitution of the United States and bring us down, make us stupid, they got to bring in armies and cause civil war and have a collapse. And this is why they're starting all these little strains and viral, oops. Because that's another thing they're going to let loose, all the mosquitoes, little armies. You read about it in Revelation, coming up from the bottomless pit. They're little demons. Through biology, they're going to possess your soul. You'll be sitting there scrolling. They've already got the patents for all of this. But just like they've got to collapse the United States. I mean, remember, they had to collapse France before the United States. Remember, we did a video a long time ago about this Chilago. We were talking about whether there's any proof that, we could see that the city looked like a capital. And it had this statue of the Republic. And then they went in and burned it all down in 1893. Why would they do that? Because they were publicly demonstrating the Republic is over. And then they moved over to the Statue of Liberty. The only thing is they're not telling you that the Liberty, they rebuilt that statue of the Statue Republic, the Republic, and on the tip of the spear with the snake winding up a bit, it had this Phrygian cap. That's the cap that belongs to Mary Magdalene. She's the Lady Liberty. And they took it down and destroyed it, burned it, and built another one exactly like it, but instead of the Phrygian cap of our mother and freedom, they put a little plaque said Liberty and encircled it with their laurel wreath. The little Greek wreath, they always surround the flag or the Constitution or your certificates. You see the wreath? That means they control you. You're signing a death warrant, that signature. It's your freedom enclosed within their decision to control you. You have freedom, what they say you have. So they changed it from the republic to a democracy. They knew exactly what they were doing. And so they had to destroy this place. We weren't called the United States. We were called Nova Franca. There was Nova Scotia and Nova Franca. And they owned all the way from Franca, from Canada, the French, all the way down to Louisiana and down into Mexico. And then the Vikings came over. It's a different group. And they had a war, or the British. And the British and the French fought. And it was all orchestrated to have a transfer of power. But they were showing the world that our Mother Mary's liberty is gone now. She loses. The dragon went after the woman that he might devour her child, which is the kingdom. The banner says liberty for all, right? But this is the same thing that's happening over there in Israel. They're going to destroy the present Israel and rebuild it in the way that they really want it to happen. They have a verse in their Bible that says that they were given the land all the way to the Euphrates and to the river Egypt. I guarantee the only way that they could wipe out all those peoples and take it over is if there was strong reason to do so, that they could have an excuse. They could say, well, we were attacked and they almost exterminated us. And the hollow movie cast, which cost a lot, that hollow thing, that happened in 1945, 46 or whatever, it's supposed to be this final solution was what we got. And 80 years is up in 2028. And it can't go any longer than 80 years. 70 years, 80 if you're mighty. This generation. They intend to level it. The 10 horns, the one world government, is going to burn the woman, Babylon. Who is that? Well, it's the woman who has a kingdom over the kings of the earth. It's this covenant of Moses. You'll get a mark of Moses upon your hand, your forehead. Read it in Exodus and Deuteronomy. That's the mark of the beast. Hosea 13, Yahweh is the beast. And it is law and order. And all you people have been hoodwinked into all this rebellion and this ridiculousness. And now they're going to have an excuse to accuse you because you didn't accept Jesus. You didn't defend the Lord. You didn't confess his name. So Israel, what they intend to do is extend the borders of Israel all the way to past Iraq. That's why they've already done most of the fighting. They're just going to mop it up now. But they need to send in all these weapons to Iran because they're going to have a big bloody war with Syria and Iran. This means that everyone in that area is going to die. Unless you listen to what I'm saying. Jesus said, please get out. And anybody who loves the Lord will be saved. Who puts their faith and trust in him and has the blood of the Lamb upon their doorpost. But if you can, you must flee into the wilderness now. And remember, friends, the only way they can do that is to have the whole 30 years Gulf War that we already went through. But they also must take down the United States and probably present Europe. And there's a lot of China and Africa and Brazil and places where they just want to wipe out a lot of the Popula. Shin. So it's going to be happening here. The entire world will feel it. But I do believe that the United States will be a refuge of sorts because the ensign shall be raised up in the latter days from the extremities of the world. Come and bring your hungry and bring your tired. A land of liberty and justice for all. And the saints will be gathered. And this is the great congregation, 144,000 standing on Mount Zion. For those of you who haven't seen some of the videos we've done where we've shown that America is Zion. It is the ancient Zion. We'll all see eye to eye when he brings back Zion. And the everlasting eternal hills on the Mount of Zion, which is in the extremity, the opposite ends of the earth, beautiful for situation, the joy of all the earth. At the ends of the earth, in the north, Mount Zion. Oh, and by the way, if you really wanted to see a movie where they describe exactly what I just said, they know everything that's going to happen. They've made all these movies, and the movies are almost accurate to a pitch. It's on Netflix. It's called 100 Days, The 100 Days, 100 Days, or something like that. And there's like 100 episodes. It's long, and it's very, I think, very interesting, especially if you're looking at the symbolisms and you're putting together with what the Bible says. But you see that they have their plans. And Facebook guys involved with it. They've got Yahweh in there. They've got all kinds of stuff that we've been talking about. It's all there in the movie, you know. But yeah, it's a really, I don't even know if I recommend anyone watching it, because it might blow your mind and might even change your mind, or you might lose faith if you see what they claim might happen. I don't think it's exactly the way they're going to say. But they show that underneath Washington, there are some people that are freedom lovers, and they survive. In the end, it's like 12 people. They don't have it's all symbolically true, but sometimes they don't, they'll use different symbols or whatever, but it's the same story there. After the nuclear holocaust, they come up from under the ground, or, they're in a ship above, and they come down. But this holy place that they establish is the new America under Washington that's been subverted by all of this collapse. But why would they be arming Iran? Well, if Israel, they wouldn't be giving them to Israel, because they're about ready to have World War III, and you think they want Israel to win? Well, then they'd supply them with weapons. Well, don't Israel have all the money anyway? They own all the banks, and they actually have a better army than we do. The high-tech stuff that could just wipe out 100 subs with a flick of a switch. They own that kind of stuff you've never heard of. They own the ships that we're calling UFOs. They have so much superiority. They don't need our money. No, they got to have a big war, and you got to have a lot of bombs and guns in order to kill a lot of people. Because they want to get rid of all the people around that area, including all the people in Israel. Because most of those people in Israel, some of them are minorities, for goodness sake, from Ethiopia. They don't want most of these people. They're a bunch of Orthodox, actual Judeans, actually believe in the Lord. No, they don't want that. This is a scam. They're going to wipe them off the face of the earth. They're going to follow exactly what the Bible says. A third will be immediately destroyed. A third will die in the famine, and a third will be taken into captivity. Why would they do that? Same reason I got to wipe out America. That's why they're bringing soldiers in here. All of us, they expect us to all be gone. Whether it be pestilence or earthquake or famine or war. Yeah, the 4 horsemen, they're going to be coming very soon. And they're led by a man called the Antichrist. So right about the time the tribulation starts, these 4 horsemen take off. And that means there's going to be pestilence and evil. And we're not talking about, the little nasty famine going on over there in Ethiopia. No, we're talking about a worldwide starvation. Millions of people are going to die from that alone. After that will be the epidemics that you will never even imagine. Real ones. And then somebody's got to pay for it, so they got war to mop it up. Well, they don't want you to go through that pain, so that's why they give you the, put you out of your misery. It's already begun, my friends. There's nothing anyone can do about this. It's already written down. It's in the Bible. But here's what you should know. You've got very little time. I wouldn't trust that you have any more than just a couple of few months, if that. You might have as many as a year or two, but we're talking this is hitting soon. Very soon. You don't have much. Don't think, I got 2 years. I don't think you got that long. I don't think, my personal opinion is probably going to be about within a year. All these things are going to begin to happen by the end of next year. You need to get someplace legally that you can park. I know a lot of you are on the road in your motorhomes or your cars already. But you need a place to park that sucker, because they're going to make it illegal to park here, there, or anywhere else. And they'll harass you. And when the time comes, if you're even on a public highway, I wouldn't want to be there. Or in a public rent a spot. Now, yes, they could. If you had your own land, they could kick you off your own land. I mean, what, right? Well, because I know the Bible says that we're going to go into the wilderness, the saints. I do believe that primarily that means away from the city. But I think we got to use our noggin too. If you notice in California, they're trying to get everybody to leave there. They're burning them out if they got to. Same with Hawaii. So if you end up somehow getting to stay in California, you'd probably be safe from the bombs that they're going to start coming. They want to get rid of all the peasants, and they want that to be bomb-free. The elite in every country are going to have their little no-fire zones. So I think the West Coast is a lot safer than the East Coast. I think they want to take out New York or something, or Washington. The woman, they're going to burn her with fire. That's the great city. It could be London, Washington, the Vatican, or Jerusalem. And I think it'll be all of them. And other places around the world. I mean, like Tokyo. We're not just talking about a few million people dying. We're talking about they plan on reducing the population of the world to really almost nothing. And the Bible tells you that. Jeremiah says, I looked and behold, and there was no more man. And the earth was turned upside down. And it was void and it was empty. And Jesus himself said that when that day comes, that tribulation will be so bad that unless those days were cut short, and on account of the chosen ones, they will. In other words, only the chosen ones will survive. Those who endure unto the end. Blessed are you if you endure into the end. And you get through it unto the end by having your white and spotted robes, because we're not appointed in the wrath. So don't give up your faith in Jesus. That's all you got to have. Because remember, this is all coming down, and the angels are the reapers. Don't worry about this if you're on the Lord's side. Because he's coming with a sword out of his mouth to battle with the dragon and the false prophet. And the false prophet is going to be mirrored by the true prophet. Moses and Elijah are going to be preaching. And they will bring the many to righteousness, a great multitude that no man could number. Now, it says that they end up dying. And the Bible says they've washed their robes in the blood of the Lamb. So I do believe that that all of these people are going to be the souls of men who have advanced in the class and have in their heart a love for the Lord and truth, but were not valiant and did not have oil in their lamps. And Jesus talked about this. He gave these parables. He says, make sure you have oil in your lamps. And everybody's given a few talents, and one's got 10 and one's got, 3 and one's got 1. And the one that had the 1 talent buried it in the earth, and he said, when his master returned, he said, oh, you good for nothing servant. You should have put it at least in the bank, but it had interest. So he wants you to do something with what you have. Here's how it's going to go down. This is the day of judgment. We all have to appear before the judgment seat of Christ. And this is the day that we're all here, 8 billion of us. And we must make an appearing, whether what we did in the body, whether good or evil. And if we believe in Jesus and truly love and trust in him, then we get a free pass, all of it. The blood's on the doorpost. He passes over. The angel passes over. But the others, they take them and they bundle them up and burn them in the fire. We're going to remain until he comes, but we will not precede those who have died. There will be many good people who have died, millions, a great multitude. I don't know whether all the great multitude die. It sounds like it. If all flesh would be gone, unless the elect, which I know are the 144,000, and if you add Isaiah and some of the things, Jeremiah about the earth being upside down and every man being gone, and the wars coming and the blood being up to the horse's bridle, and it gives you a very clear description. You know, people think that the harlot is Babylon or Rome or something, but I think it's Jerusalem. I think it's this present system. And I think it's the law of Moses that reigns over the world, and the mark of the beast is the law of Moses you get in your hand or your forehead. But the Christians, the 144,000, I should say, the overcomers, the ones who have victory, they have the seal of the living deity. That means they're the ones with the Holy Spirit. That's the latter rain. You ever wondered why there is the first and the latter rain? Well, and both of them refer to Pentecost. 2,000 years apart. Didn't we already celebrate Pentecost? What is that? That's the gathering of the first fruits. Well, I think that's an indication that we were all there, all of us. And we were gathered there on that day. And by the end of that generation, there was 144,000 of us. But it's going to happen now in the latter rain. We got to have the Holy Spirit again. And we're going to ones be standing on Mount Zion when he comes, remain until he comes. And so it kind of, evidently, we've had to be incarnated. We all must appear before the judgment seat. Some of us have already, we're virgins, you know. We have not followed after the world. We've got white garments, meaning that we're faithful, we're chaste for the truth. We will not waver. We have integrity. Everything we know to do what is right, we do it. We make mistakes, and we're sorry for it. And we grow in grace and on a daily basis and in faith. But because we're in Christ, because we know we love Christ, because we know that we want to love, and we boldly tell the truth and spread the good news, then we will have these white robes that will be spotless when he comes. And we'll have oil in our lamp to get through it, the dark night. We will confess his name among men, and he will confess our name to his heavenly Father, and we'll be numbered among the elect. The rest of them, I don't know what will happen. But the rest of the dead didn't come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. And we don't even know, when we see the great multitude standing there with white robes, we're not even sure if the white robes given to him before or after. But we do know that in Revelation chapter 6, he saw the souls under the altar that had been murdered. This is before the end. And they said, how long, O Lord? Great tribulation hasn't even occurred yet. I think that's the beginning of tribulation. And he said, wait until your fellow servants have been murdered as you. And they were given white robes. And then we see them standing in heaven with white robes. So I think perhaps the world is going to go through a great, great, great destruction. And that's why it says that Elijah must come, that he might not devote the entire earth to destruction, but to turn the hearts of the fathers back towards their sons. So I think the saints are going to survive and meet him in the air as he's coming back to the earth to restore it to paradise. However, a lot of the Christians and people that you know are like lukewarm. They're not quite there. Doesn't mean the Lord doesn't love them. That's why the Apostle Paul says, hand him over to Satan, destruction of flesh, that the spirit might be saved in the day of the Lord. Lord loves those whom he disciplines. They will have washed their robes in the blood of the Lamb. They all have come through the great tribulation. We don't go through the great tribulation, right? We're not appointed unto the wrath. There is no condemnation in those who walk after Christ. So you say, well, Dave, this sounds terrible. You're telling me that very shortly, in the next, over a 3.5 year period, everybody's going to die? And suffering and terrible carnage and pestilence and what? Famine, starving to death and things? I saw visions of it, my friends. I couldn't understand when I first had this. I've had it several times. It's a reoccurring vision. And I saw them coming and taking people. And I knew I didn't want to go. It wasn't something you wanted to do, this rapture. They were gathering in them and bundling them and throwing them into this place where they were reserved for judgment. It's the scariest vision I've ever had. But I felt safe. And I remember in one of these visions, there was a woman that came and comforted me and protected me, because there was a lot of like weird zombies running around and crazy things. But friends, here's the thing. You don't have to worry about all that if you love Jesus. And all you got to do is get on your knees and get your own testimony now, because he's promised he'll send you the Holy Spirit. You don't just pray for it, and go back to work. Well, some of you need to go into the lonely place, into the mountains or something, and spend some time fasting and praying. And don't go home until the Lord has given you a testimony. Do that before you do anything else. No matter what. Don't, I better listen to more videos or read some books, or I don't know, I'm too confused. No. Go to the Lord. Don't go to a book. And you give the Lord a chance. Because whatever's in your heart, whatever you desire, you shall have already received it. But if you don't even know and you're deceiving yourself and you actually don't even desire to see the Lord, but you want to use that as an excuse that, the Lord don't exist because I prayed 3 times, he didn't say nothing. You must earnestly pray in your closet, in the inner, you must go within into a place of sincerity. What does it mean within? We're not talking about and doing some kind of blanking out your mind. The truth about that is the place to go to is a place of earnest desire for truth. Sincere and honest, pure sincerity. We must find out what is your true desire, and if it's because that's what defiles you. Is there some shameful thing that's in there that you must remove? Fears and problems. You get rid of the demons before the Christ can come in. Sweep it clean, and then ask Christ to come in. Pray continually, often, not just daily, but continually. Make a prayer upon your lips. Always want the truth. Don't sometimes want to partay, and get down and do all the things you shouldn't be doing. You don't care. You're not trying to help anybody. Right now, you're having fun. Well, once a week, I go and be real, put my suit on and act real humble and everything. And pious. And say, I'm sorry for my sins, and I'm glad, Lord, I'm not like one of these. When you're giving your alms or, helping people, don't blow a trumpet before you. But do whatever you do in secret, and the Lord will reward you openly. Make certain that what you're doing it for the right reason. You're doing that to help somebody, not to get fame or everyone to think good of you. To get their attention, for honor, or for money. If you're a pastor and you're making a lot of money, you probably should quit. And you start really reading your Bible. And if you really don't believe in the Lord, and you're just doing it as a side job, then woe is you. It'll be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah than it will be for you. It had been better if you'd have just tied a millstone around your neck and you were thrown into the deepest sea. But for those of you who just want to go with the Lord and be happy and have dominion over this world, as Adam was told to have dominion over the fish of the sea, and that's the rule that we're going to have. We're going to bring this world back into a paradise. establish his kingdom and righteousness. And we're going to be happy. The glory that's to be revealed in us, the eye hath not seen, the ear hath not ever heard. No one could conceive the glory that's to be received in us. If you want that, all you have to do is seek him, be about it early, and continue late. And seek, and you will find, and knock, and it shall be opened. And ask, and you shall receive. And do it sincerely, and with all your heart, and all your mind, and all your strength. And you will not only save yourself, but you may save from this wrath to come your entire family. All ye of your house. I'm David Vose. I hope you have a wonderful evening. May the Lord bless you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.